Think you could build a NASCAR Nationwide Series team with $100? Well, my dad did it back in 2001, and he's going to do it again in a Camping World Truck Series. Hey, my dad's not as dumb as he looks.
Hey, Josh. Hey, man, wait a minute. Doggone it. These low-riding cars.
I guess we'd like to kind of explain how big fan racing started. It's really an unusual story. Nothing's happened like that in NASCAR before. And the way it first came about was Josh was graduating high school, and he had always wanted to race, find some way to race. And you can kind of tell him what you were thinking back then at 17, 18 years old.
What I was thinking back then is I was taking my sports cars and going playing on the street and drag racing, and I had a lot of friends that were doing circle track racing, and I just thought, hey, it would be cool to get into this. And I really didn't ever think that we could get the money to do something like that, because everybody I talked to said it was so expensive. But you know, it was just weird how everything worked out, how you started big fan racing, how you tried for what, over a year,
Yeah.
to come up with some way, and then when it took off, it just took off. It's like it's a 1 in a million idea, and I don't know, I guess we just got lucky.
Lucky or a lot of tries. Here's the thing with NASCAR racing, or any racing even approaching that level, it is expensive. And at the time, I was a railroad conductor with Norfolk Southern running out of Greenville, South Carolina. And, you know, when your son wants to be a race car driver and you're a Norfolk Southern railroad conductor, you can imagine the pockets are not there. They're not deep enough to support that kind of thing. And a lot of the owners in NASCAR, most of them have a large business or something. You know, they had money to begin with. And so just thinking about how you could accomplish something like that was pretty daunting. But I've always thought if you feel like you can do something, then you can find a way to do it. So I started thinking. And Josh, he graduated high school, and we were just going about our daily lives. And one day something just kind of occurred to me. I was thinking, you know, a lot of people will spend some money on these die-cast cars, and a lot of them were $100 and up back then. So I just had this wild idea. What if we could find enough people on the internet, which was pretty young at that time, what if we could find enough people there who would give $100 to us and help us build a real car? And that's kind of the way it started right there. Basically, what it comes down to race at the NASCAR level or anywhere close to it is very expensive. You know, people couldn't even really imagine what it takes to get one car out there for one race. So the thoughts of us actually doing that were pretty astronomical. But when you have an idea, you know, if you don't at least act on it, you'll never know if it would work or not. The idea I had was, if we go on the internet and find fans on there who are willing to pay a couple $100 for a die-cast car, if we could get them to give $100 to us as sort of like a fan club, help us build a real car, that maybe some of them would do it. You know, it was just an idea, just a shot in the dark. But what happened was pretty amazing. You know, I went on eBay, I took $100 and I bought a bunch of ads on eBay and I put the story out there. And the next thing we know, you know, the first night, Josh was sick with the flu, I believe. And the first night, there were like 3 people who joined. So I went and told Josh, you know, he's over there sick as a dog. And I'm like, you are not going to believe this. 3 people actually joined last night on this thing. And
I told him he was crazy right before that happened. And then I thought, well, he ain't that crazy.
Most people, you know, most people think an idea like that's crazy. And, you know, it does sound kind of out there. But the first night we had 3 people join. After that, every day it just kind of started to increase. And believe it or not, in 3 weeks, we went and bought the first Busch car. And that was the beginning of Big Fan Racing. And from then on, you know, it just continued to grow. People were joining from every state. We had probably 10 other countries that people joined from, something like that. And not too many months after that, we took the first car up to Indianapolis, and so that's how we got started. Big Fan Racing went on for a couple of years. We tried to race as many different races as we could. We even did one race for America's Most Wanted and Fox TV, and we were helping them try to find a little girl who was missing up in the New York area. So that's kind of where we went with Big Fan Racing back in the beginning. Really an unlikely story. And I'm sure a lot of people, even we didn't hardly believe it, did we? I mean, what did you really think was going on?
I didn't know it happened too fast. It happened so fast. You know, it was like one day we were just talking about it, and then the next day you got a car, and I was kind of shocked. So it really didn't set in until we done went to about 2 or 3 races, really what was going on. And it was just wild. Just wild how that happens.
We had a lot of fun because we got to meet a lot of people, you know, people who were just fans of racing, and they were from all over the country. We would go to a race and sometimes there might be 200 or 300 of them show up just because they were fans of the team, and they had put their $100 in as members. And what we tried to do is provide a hospitality tent, you know, a place they can get out of the sun, have some lunch, and meet the drivers. We'd have the driver come up and sign autographs and different things like that. We gave them pit tours, free pit tours, and some of the people would actually get to come down into the pits during the whole race with us. So that was Big Fan Racing in the early 2000s. It was a lot of fun. I just want to take a couple of minutes just talk about the actual competition. And, you know, this is a reality show. This format that we're doing right now is just a way to introduce Josh and I, you know, to our audience out there. And this is not the format that we'll actually use in the show, because we'll be following a lot of the drivers around. And I just wanted to talk about the competition a little bit. Each driver who joins the competition is going to have an opportunity for us to come and work with them and hopefully get everybody on film, you know, trying to accomplish the feat of getting sponsorship and running in the race. And one thing I did want to talk about is, you know, right now, as we are shooting this, we have the first 10 drivers in the competition, and we're only looking for 40 more to fill out the field. We hope to do that as quickly as possible. I've had 100 emails, you know, and you've probably had a bunch too.
50.
I've had 100 emails of people who tell me, you know what, this is what I want. I really want it. I want it, man. This is my biggest dream. I've lived NASCAR my whole life, you know, and you've got the emails the same as I have. Mm-hmm. And all I do is, the only way I can respond when I get an email like that is say, okay, if you want to be in the competition, here's what you have to do. Well, there's a $150 entry fee. The reason we do that is because if not, we'd have 1,000 people would enter in the first week if it was just, you know, free to enter. So we've put that in there because we want to know who is serious about entering the competition. And out of 100 emails, I've sent back a lot of links for them to join, to pay and join, and they disappear. So what we want to know is we want to find 40 more people. As of the day that we're shooting this, we want to find 40 more people who are serious about the competition. Now, I can tell you, the first 10, those guys are serious. They're chomping at the bits right now, ready to go. And they're ready to get out there and get their races under their belt, get their sponsorship.
It's like one guy asked me, what would you do to have an opportunity like this? And I've never seen an opportunity like this. And he's like, what's it worth to you? Can you put a dollar sign on it, or what would you do to get this kind of opportunity? And I said, whatever I've got. Whatever I've got. $150 entry fee just seems like nothing. I mean, I would have done it the first day I seen it if I thought that I could actually sell the sponsorship to make it. Now, if I didn't think that I was going to give it any effort, I probably wouldn't put mine in and even sign up. But if I really thought I was going to do it, it's nothing. Because I've paid thousands to go race. I've paid thousands to go test out of my own pocket. Mm-hmm. And if you're really dedicated to doing something like this, you don't want to, you can't break yourself. I mean, I understand that. But, I mean, if you're really serious about this, it's really nothing to get a chance like this, especially with somebody helping you. Especially with the publicity that you get, because mm-hmm. anywhere else you don't get the publicity. You have to make your own.
Right.
So it's kind of like you're getting a little head start with something like that. You're gonna get your name out there without doing much, and all you have to do is give a little bit of effort, and it wouldn't be that hard.
I told you stories, and you've probably read them, that back in the day, people would go sweep shop floors just to get on the team.
$6 an hour.
they would go sweep, and they might do that for a year or a whole season, and finally somebody would let them maybe change tires mm-hmm. or something. Some of those guys who swept floors back then now are crew chiefs on Winston Cup. I'm still saying that. They're crew chiefs on Cup teams now, and back then they swept floors. Would you have swept floors for a whole season?
Yeah, for free.
For free?
For free, if I thought I could get my foot in the door.
That's the kind of attitude you got to have to do it. If you really want to make it, you got to at least have that attitude. And the old timers, hey, some of them are in really good positions now as crew chiefs, car chiefs. They run the shops, and the very first thing they did as a teenager, a lot of times, was go in there and sweep a floor. Well, now that opportunity's not there. None of those guys are going to hire you to come sweep the floor and work yourself up to become a tire changer or a jack man or something like that, and make your way up to be a crew chief. Those opportunities are long gone. So now you really got to make your own opportunity. And to do that, there's very few. I mean, do you know anything out there? We've looked at a lot of different things.
No, I mean, most opportunities that you get like that is putting yourself through some sort of school.
Right.
If you want to work on a pit crew, they have schools. You can go pay massive amounts of money to learn how to do one specific thing, or maybe a little bit of everything, and you don't get promised a job. It's not like going to a technical school and you're guaranteed a job when you come out for the money you put in. So a lot of guys do that. I actually know one, and he spent about $30,000, and they don't guarantee you anything.
Yeah, and the opportunity to drive, those are really few and far between now. So we've checked around. We've went on the internet. That's the information highway there. So if you can find something on the internet, that's where you'll find it. And we've looked at different things where if you go to school, they might take you to a track and test, check your abilities, and then if you're willing to pay so much up front, they might help you find sponsorship. That kind of sounds like something we're doing, except that's a thing where you probably have to put a couple of $1,000s out.
I've seen one thing that you pay about $1,500, They take you to a short track. They put you in like a street stock or a charger car, let you take a few laps. Probably what most of the time happens, they take you out and tell you, I think you can drive, or I think you can't, or you need to work on this, and here's how you go get sponsorship. Now, if you can go get us some sponsorship and bring it back, we'll put you in something bigger. Probably a lot of guys go through that, and they just say, well, you really need to start out in something smaller and then call us back. So you spend $1,500 and you get to go run around in a car maybe 30, 40 laps, and then get told what you need to do, what we could tell you to do up front without doing that.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't guess there's another opportunity like this out there, and you know, certainly none of the bigger teams will do it. That's just not the way they operate. And the reason we can do it is because we're just a little bit more unusual than other teams. You know, we're doing everything different than what normal teams do, because that's the only way we can build big fan racing. You know, that's the only way we can make this happen. So the opportunity's there. We're willing to help. And, you know, if a driver comes in with us, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try our best to get them in at least, they might not win the competition and win the whole contract, but we're going to try to at least get them in an ARCA race somewhere, or a Truck Series race somewhere down the line. And let me say one more thing about, you know, we are on the internet, we're out there doing this, and we get a lot of emails about, is this a scam?
Mm-hmm. I got a phone call.
Yeah.
Is this a scam?
You know, and listen, we understand that there are a lot of scams out there. Believe me, people have tried to scam us.
Oh, I get
on
all kind of scams.
So we completely understand that. You don't hurt our feelings by asking us, is this a scam? You know, we can point back to our history and show us running races for America's Most Wanted, you know, and doing a TV show with John Walsh and different things like that. We can show you our history and show you that it's not a scam. We seriously do what we do to get out there on track. It may be unusual. You're never going to see anything like it out there, I don't think. We had a few copycats before, tried to copy what we did, but we're the only team in history who has ever actually built a car from the ground up with nothing but fan support, and then went out and qualified in what was the Busch Series back then at Bristol. So we're the only team I know that's ever done that. It's not a scam. We're a father and son team who love racing. We love the excitement of it. We love the people in it. You know, we love the whole atmosphere of being at the track. And this is just the way that we've discovered that we can share it. So that's what big fan racing is. If you think we're a scam, you know, watch us on TV, and then you'll find out when we're racing. All right, let's talk a little bit about what it would take if let's say you're a short track racer on a dirt track out in Iowa, and your dream is to someday make it and get to NASCAR in some level in one of the top 3 tiers. You know, what would it take to do something like that?
To get in the top 3 tiers?
If we're talking about either the Camping World Truck Series, the Nationwide Series, or the Cup Series, and you're a dirt tracker out in Iowa racing on Saturday nights, but you really want it, it's a big dream, how do you make that happen?
Well, if you don't have the money, you just about have to know somebody. I mean, you have to know somebody that's going to introduce you to somebody that can put you in something like that. Most people that are there buy their way into it because they have the money. A lot of guys don't come from nothing and make it that high. Usually if that happens, it's because the right person spotted them, a big team owner, you know, a scout of some kind. And it usually has a lot to do with the person, being able to sell that person, because when it boils down to it, that's what people want when you go race is money. Yeah. So if you don't have that kind of money, you're going to be looking at marketing yourself as a person, and sometimes that's hard. You can be a really good driver and you can't market yourself, and you never can make it. So that's probably the toughest thing, is convincing somebody to give you that kind of money to race on that kind of level, and then you have to get someone that trusts you driving their car.
And right now, I mean, I'd say that talent a lot of times doesn't have anything to do with whether you make it there or not.
No, I personally know a lot of really talented drivers that I believe without a shadow of a doubt that they could be in one of the top 3 series, but they either don't want it bad enough, don't think that they can do it, or they just don't put themselves out there to market themselves. And you know, sometimes it takes someone to push you to do something like that. It's just hard to get a tough break no matter what your talent is.
Yeah, even right here at Greenville-Pickens, you know, this is one of the most historic tracks right down the road here in NASCAR history. And there are some really good drivers at Greenville-Pickens, but their chances of making it, you know, are just about as slim as those of somebody that's in a state 10 states away from here that's not in the middle of NASCAR country. And we're right in the middle of NASCAR country. You know, just about everybody around here who races, they have connections and they know somebody. So that gives you an idea, you know, on any given weekend, there are like 122 spots out there. You got 36 in the Truck Series. You got 43 spots out there in the Cup Series and the Nationwide Series. So you've got like 120 something spots, but you got 120,000 racers out there who would love to have one of those spots. Now, Big Fan Racing we're rebuilding it completely from the ground up again, and we're going to do a Camping World Truck Series team. But somewhere along the line, we had to come up with a way to rebuild it. You know, things are a lot different than they were in 2001 when we did it the first time. So one of the things we're doing now, just to give you an idea, back then, I personally sold all of the memberships on the internet. Just me. You know, I stayed up night after night after night running ad after ad. And so it was just a consuming thing that I did. And now I don't think that would work. You know, I don't think that no matter how much I put out there, just because it's a different economy now, a lot of things are different after 12 years. So what we decided to do is we want to hold a driver's competition, and we're not basing it on how good you can get out here on the speedway and drive. What we're doing is we're going to get 50 drivers together, and the hardest thing that you can possibly do, like Josh said, is to market yourself and find sponsorship to race at that kind of level. So what we're asking these 50 drivers to do is come in with us, be a part of the team, and a part of the show that we're producing. And those 50 drivers are going to go out and help us, and we're going to help them find the sponsorship to run races. And that's how we'll build the team this time. It's like a multiplication. Back then I was one person selling all the sponsorship, all the memberships. So what we're going to do is multiply that by 50. And of course, you know, if you're a driver, if you're interested in doing this competition, you're going to have friends that will help you, family that will help you. So actually the multiplication, the numbers part of it gets even greater when that happens. So it sounds like, you know, it sounds really out there, but we know from experience what you can do and what you have to do to make it. So we're going to do the competition. There'll only be 50 drivers in it, and we're going to go work with them. And you know, once again, it's something we've never done, that's never been done in NASCAR. So,
and I'm going to do it too. I'm not competing, but I'm going to go out and try to help these guys realize what you have to do to try to get that kind of money, and just show them how hard it is. And I know it'll be tough for me as well, because I've sat and looked through the yellow pages on any day of the week, maybe make 200 phone calls to local businesses and get no after no. But when you get that one yes, that's what makes it all worthwhile. So that's some of the things you have to do, and I'm going to get in on that so that we can show these guys and kind of make a role model of it.
Yeah. And what we're going to do, we'll actually get out there and help you. If you're a driver in the competition, we'll be out there helping you learn how to do some of this stuff and help you approach the different people that would help sponsor you. Part of that will be memberships in Big Fan Racing. We're still doing the $100 memberships because a lot of the fun of Big Fan Racing was if you were a member and we came to Charlotte, then we would have several hundred people there that were coming to the race. Well, now they had something to come there and cheer for. They came, we had them fixed up in a hospitality tent. Like I said, all the pit tours, the different things that we can do as owners of the team that you can't do on your own.
Barbecue
Barbecue.
in the tents.
So, that's a part of Big Fan Racing, the membership. So the drivers in the competition, they'll be able to sell those to pick up sponsorship, and they'll also be able to work on corporate sponsorship, businesses or friends, people they know. And our goal is to have all 50 drivers at least get into one race. And that could be in the ARCA series. It could be in the Camping World Truck Series. But, we'll have to go individually to see how that plays out because NASCAR just won't let anybody without any experience drive a Camping World truck.
Nah, unfortunately not.
It's a little bit easier for us to get you into an ARCA race if you're one of the competition drivers, just because the rules are a little bit different, and we can actually test you and take you to a school and get you qualified for that. NASCAR is a little more strict. But those are some of the things that we're working on. Now, the driver competition is not all of Big Fan Racing. We're going to be doing other things. We'll be at some of the tracks selling memberships, and we'll also be looking for sponsorship too, because we're looking at $10,000 of sponsorship from a driver to get into an ARCA race. But in reality, we can't get you into an ARCA race for $10,000.
No.
It's the amount of money it takes to take one car and all the crew and everything you have to do to get to that race is substantially more than that. But if a driver is willing to work hard and willing to let us help you, then that part of Big Fan Racing, we're going to try to get all the drivers into at least one race. Now, the person who raises the most sponsorship, we're actually going to hire them as a developmental driver with the team. It'll be with a salary and a 1-year contract to run next year. So that's what we're looking at right now, and it will be hard. We know it'll be hard.
Yeah.
Don't be fooling yourself thinking, well,
I actually don't even think that I could win it because it's that tough.
But Josh is going to, he's actually going to get out there and do the same thing that all the drivers are going to do that are entering the competition. And we're going to find out if he can beat whoever's the best out there right now. So why are we doing a reality show about this? Several reasons on my part. First of all, I'm a film nut, and I enjoy doing things with film, and I've written, produced, and directed actually a full-length comedy motion picture, which was a lot of fun. I spent some time in Hollywood out there. That was a Southern boy, really out of the element there, I tell you, but especially in Hollywood. But I like film, and that's just a personal thing there. One of the other things is, we would have loved to have documented what we did back then.
Yeah, there wasn't any kind of reality shows back then. We didn't even think to carry a camera with us. We just had a few still photos, but some of that stuff would have been pretty funny.
Hey, I would have loved to seen the stories that we had going on back then. You wouldn't believe some of them. If we tried to tell them, they wouldn't believe some of the things that happened during that part. Now, some of it was really good, some of it was really bad.
Yep.
And a lot of it was funny, but this time we do have the technology, and America loves reality TV. I think America would like to see what it's like for a race team to be built from the ground up, and I think they would also like to see what it's like for an unknown, an underdog from, Saturday night series somewhere to get their shot at the big time. So now with all the technology we have, it's a lot easier for us to capture all that. Think of some of the fun things that happened back then. Remember the first person who ever joined Big Fan Racing, his name was Terry Boyd. Tell him what happened.
Well, he called us up before Indianapolis and told us he had a special request, and he wanted to ask his girlfriend if she would marry him at the race with a decal on the car. And it worked out pretty cool because when we got there, Dad wanted to do it. Said, you're the first guy that joined, so yeah, we'll do anything for you. So when we got there, just so happened CNN was there doing a story on the race team to begin with, so they just brought their cameras over and he got to propose on camera on CNN.
That was pretty cool. We had a decal made up back on the quarter panel, and it said, whatever her name was, "Will you marry me, Terry?" She had no idea. She just thought that she was coming to the race with him, and I imagine that was a pretty big shock right there.
She had to say yes. I mean, there was cameras on her. She was going to be on the news.
And she did. She did say yes. But, CNN actually captured that, and we didn't have any cameras or anything back then. So those were some great stories like that we never had a chance to capture. So with this reality show, we can go behind the scenes and we can show what it takes for a guy from Iowa or a guy from Michigan or somewhere that's nowhere near NASCAR country like we are right here in the middle of the Carolinas. We can go and show how it would work for them to have to try to get there and us actually help them. So I think there'll be a lot of good stories come out of it. I think we'll meet some people who have some really big dreams, never knew exactly how to make it. And hopefully for us, using the reality show, that's one way that we can help them. Just from experience, growing up and all, we didn't have the money for Josh to race. If I had never thought of Big Fan Racing and it just being a crazy out there idea, then we would have never been in that position to do any racing. And you can probably tell them, I mean, if
I'd probably be locked up for drag racing on red lights for red lights.
So, what we did, it was just maybe, like Josh said, it might have been just luck that it happened. But what we want to do is help some other people. And we know how hard it is. We know if you're a small-time racer, how hard it is to ever get past that one level. So with Big Fan Racing, hey, we're going to have the fans involved, which we had in the beginning, which a lot of people had a lot of fun with. And now we're going to involve some drivers too and give somebody a shot. So that's why we're going to put it on. That's why we're going to put it on video and have it as a reality show. We want to show America that, if you can dream it, if you got a big dream and you're not afraid to chase it, that you can go out there and get it. So we're going to help them do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, what we want to talk, just touch on for a minute is racing for fame and money versus fun. It is a big time business. Racing involves a lot of money. There are a lot of people who make a lot of money, a lot of people who lose a lot of money racing. But I think a lot of people chase the fame part of it and the millions of dollars and the money part of it. But we've never really done that. To us, it's the fun of it. And if some money comes along with it or a little bit of fame, I felt like with Big Fan Racing the first time, believe me, I've had enough of my fame stuff. I'm 53 years old now, and I'm just, that's really not a big deal. I got my 15 minutes back then. Yeah, it was fun. We were on CNN. We were in USA Today. Josh and I were voted one of the top 50 most exciting things in sports by ESPN magazine. So we had to go do a photo shoot with them and and all that stuff. And all that was pretty cool, you know, and that to me was my 15 minutes of fame. Now, I don't know about you, but I just want to smell the rubber out there.
That's my favorite thing, is to smell the fuel and the rubber at the racetrack.
That's right. You know, push that fame and that money stuff. If I can eat and have a place to stay and be at the racetrack on the weekend and smell that rubber burning and that gasoline, I'll be happy as a lark right there. But now, that doesn't mean that some of the drivers that are going to be in the competition, you know, would like to have some of that fame and the money that goes along with it. We're just telling you that's the way we feel about it. You know, we're out there for the fun of it. We always have been. And when we first started Big Fan Racing, really it was about the people, all the friendships, all the fun we had, and smelling that rubber out there on the racetrack.
I mean, if you're a driver and you're looking for fame, I mean, this could be a good outlet, because it's hard to come by an outlet to get there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, like you said, for us, it's not about that. It's more fun for me to be at the racetrack and everything that's going on around it, and hanging out with your buddies at the racetrack, and really that last 5 or 6 seconds before the green flag drops, the calmness you get inside, it's hard to explain that. And there isn't money that can replace that kind of feeling.
When the hair stands up on your arms, you know, and the hair stands up on your neck when they're about to drop the green flag, and you know that, you know, either you're out there driving, like when you drove late models at Greenville Pickens, or if it's just our team out there, when that flag drops, that's what it all adds up to, the excitement, the fun.
Well, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know.
You don't know what's going to happen. But
it's like being on a bull and it's getting ready to come out of the chute.
Yep. So that's our personal view of it. You know, there's not very many chances for people to get in. We hope that one of the drivers who are in the competition, we hope this is their break. You know, we hope this gives them a chance to either be seen or, you know, have at least an idea of what it takes. If we get one driver into one race and they see what you have to do that, they might can go back and say, okay, you know, I know now what it takes. They might can work their way up to it. But if you're just sitting out there on the couch thinking Richard Childress is going to call you and say, come on out here and drive one of my cars, you know, that's not going to happen. So somewhere along the line, if you really want it, you got to find some way to work for it and get it. And, you know, it was a dream. Big Fan Racing was a dream of ours, and we just found a way to get it and go out there and have the fun.
We'd like to thank Gary Benjamin at Upstate Pickers in Easley, South Carolina, for letting us use his store to shoot the first episode of Big Fan Racing. Come on up here and check him out. He's located about half a mile past Greenville Pickens Speedway. Barbecue.
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 Barbecue. Barbecue. Barbecue in the tents.